How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be taking a poster that I recreated last week and refashioning it into a poster for one of my favorite shoegaze bands, Echo Ladies. If you haven't seen me recreate this poster yet, go check that out right here. All right, here is the Stockholm 67 poster that I recreated last week. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to adapt it to this album right here by Echo Ladies called Pink Noise. So I'm just going to go ahead and come over here and make a copy of this. And I'd like to do a few things here to change it up a little bit so that we're not directly copying from this design, although it's still mainly going to be a direct copy. And we started off at 24 by 36, but I'm actually going to size this down to 11 by 17 because I'm going to have this printed and it's going to go right over here on this wall. So let's unlock everything and let's scale this down. All right, first thing I'm going to do is move this text over here and I'm going to lock everything down and I want to create a grid. And this grid is going to be intentionally seen on the poster itself. Most of the time when you're working with grids, you don't want them to be seen. But this is going to be providing a structure for the poster, and it will also be seen on the poster itself. And we'll go over here all the way to the edge and do -1/2 inch. And I want this to line up with the top of that lamp perfectly. And I also want to make sure that my lamp is dead center on the poster. There we go. And now we will align the top of the lamp with that grid. So now we're just going to copy this down here, and that's roughly the height of the lamp, and we're actually going to change the way that this is shaped a little bit, and we're going to align different things on the lamp to the grid itself. All right, so I went ahead and added one more row of a grid, so I've got 6 across and 9 down. So now we're going to anchor the bottom of this lamp to this intersection right here, and then we're just going to scale the lamp down a little bit. There we go, that's good. And I'm going to scale this up here to this point so that it is perfectly taking up the height of 2 of these grid sections. And now we'll just align to the center to make sure that it's right in the center of the poster. All right, so as you can see, pretty much everything here is lined up perfectly. However, I do want to center up the circle right here. And I realized that in the original poster, this was optically centered rather than perfectly centered, but I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna find right here where this center point is right here, and we're just gonna draw out right there. And I'll just go ahead and make this exactly 1.5 inches. And then we'll just change that color to white. All right, so there we go. It is perfectly centered right there, and it's also centered with that grid line, and we could just delete that circle that's inside there. All right, so now just a couple of more adjustments here. I want to grab the base of this lamp, and we'll just move this over here, perfectly aligned with that, and do the same thing over here on this side. Good, and it's not changing the balance of the lamp too much, so that's good. All right, so now we're going to outline mode, and I'm gonna select all these anchor points here using my direct selection tool, and we'll just bring this down to that line right there. All right, so now every part of the lamp is now perfectly shaped on this grid. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is change the color of these lights. And just like the original poster here, it's going from darkest to lightest. So we'll do that as well. And I'm gonna do 2 different shades of pink here. And let's kind of bring this up to maybe around 40%. And now to get the shades that are going in between these 2 shades, I'm gonna select both of these and activate our blend tool. So that's Option Command B or Alt Control B. And now we'll go over here to our blend tool and double click on that. Go up here to specified steps, and we need 3 colors in between this. So all we have to do is enter 3 and hit OK. And now I'm gonna go up here to Object and Expand and hit OK. And now what I can do is use my direct selection tool and hit my eyedropper, and we'll just select these colors right here. All right, at this point, the lamp is done, so let's go ahead and focus on our typography. So I'm gonna bring this back over here, and this is a really cool feature in Illustrator. You can align your text based on the actual shape of the text itself. So go to your Align panel, Align to Glyph Bounds, and make sure that both of these are checked. What that's gonna do is that you can send this all the way to the edge of the artboard, and you can see right here, the actual shape of the text is going to the edge of the artboard. This makes it a lot easier when you're wanting to move something exactly 1 inch in. So let's hit enter on our keyboard and hit 1 inch on both horizontal and vertical. And even though we did 1 inch, if you go over here to the transform panel, it's not registering it as 1 inch exactly. And that's because Illustrator is taking into account this bounding box right here. But you can rest assured that knowing in fact it did move it in exactly 1 inch. So now I'm gonna move it in a little bit more, but I'm gonna hold shift and we're gonna diagonally shift this down, and I'm gonna have it land exactly on that guide right there. And of course now we need to change the text. And we're gonna change it to Echo Ladies. And just to make it easier, I'm gonna go ahead and change the color of these guides right here. And let's bring this text to the front. And I think we'll probably do something around 56 or so. Let's see how that looks in the context of everything. That looks good. It's around the same size that the Stockholm 67 text was. And now we will copy this down here and duplicate it. And we'll enter in the name of the album. Now what we're gonna do here is do divided by 2. And now it's exactly half the size. And we'll select both of these and align this to our key object and hit horizontal align left. And now it's perfectly aligning this line of text with our top line of text. So I'm gonna go up here and we're gonna put this all the way to the very top right here and then push it down by a certain amount, maybe a 1/4 inch. That looks good. All right, now that I'm looking at this, I think what I wanna do is I want to do a few different things here. Let's try some experimental stuff. Let's bring this over here to the edge. And we'll actually go back up to what we did earlier, just bringing it in by 1 inch. Because I'm thinking that what I want to do is get rid of some of these squares here. So that way the entire grid isn't there. I think it'll help better communicate noise. All right, so I'm just gonna go in here and we'll just kind of, there's not really a rhyme or reason to this. I'm just gonna start taking out squares and see what I like here. I like giving the type its own room to breathe, and we definitely need to go in and kern this type, but we'll do that in a few minutes. And then from this point, I'll just go in and just kind of randomly remove some blocks. All right, that's looking cool. I really like that. And let's select all of these and go to Select, Same, and Stroke Color. And we're just gonna group everything together and then send it all the way to the back and then bring it forward 1 time. So that way it's all behind the lamp and in front of the beige color. Also, I want to change the background of that a little bit. It was a little bit too orange, so I just kind of dialed it back a little bit. And also, let's go in and fix these. And now we need some text here at the bottom, so I'm gonna just figure out what I want to put here. I went ahead and created these behind the scenes just because I didn't want to bore you with putting all this information together. All right, so I'm gonna go all the way to the edge here, and we're gonna bring this in by 1 inch. And now we can align the other two to our key object and just vertically center that. And now we will align this text to this little square right here that's already aligned. I'm gonna ungroup everything so I can just isolate this one square, and we'll align this to this square, and we'll do the same thing here and align that to that square. So everything is now aligned to the grid. This is looking really cool here, but I have an idea. What if we grab all of these little squares and turn them into circles? I just want to try it. So with all of them selected now, I'm going to hit A on my keyboard, and that's going to bring up the direct selection tool. So now I can just enter a very high number into the corners, and it turns everything into circles. It looks like we left this little guy behind here, so let's get him out of here. All right, that's really cool, and let's go ahead and fix our kerning in here. All right, so just like our original Stockholm 67 poster, we have a year on there. So why don't we put a year on here too? So we'll do 18 because this came out in 2018. And the kerning on that Stockholm poster was pretty tight, so I wanted to kind of match it as much as I could. All right, and now let's draw our little border without a fill or a stroke. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna make an extra bit of space right here around the edge so that we can drag it and drop it right into Photoshop and all of our proportions will be correct. So I'm gonna paste this as a smart object. We're just gonna put this right in here. And now let's go over here to our recreated poster and we'll just drag these effects on top of here and we'll scale them down. Looking good. And we'll do the same thing with the grain layer. Just a pro tip here, whenever you're moving a grain layer over, if you are reducing the size of it, then you can just copy it over. But if you need a larger size, make sure you create a new one. All right, I'm gonna double click on my Vector Smart Object and go right back here into Illustrator, and I wanna double check that all of our black colors are exactly the same, and they are. Good. So that way all of these effects are gonna be applied at the same level, and there's not gonna be any kind of weird contrasting between the black colors. All right, and then for the final touch, just to give it a little bit of a vintage look, we're gonna go up here to Blur and Gaussian Blur. And I think just 1 pixel will be good. And then we'll add in a solid color layer around here, maybe of like 95% white, just to give us some contrast, but then to also show the effects from our paper and our grain. All right, so here it is, our Echo Ladies Pink Noise 18 poster. I'm gonna get this printed out, hung right over there next to my Sundays poster, and it's gonna look awesome. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe, and click the bell for notifications to be notified of all future videos. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.